Hello Libra friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my video, Libra December 2020 Astrology Must Knows. We are entering a time that is supremely wonderful for Libra placements because of the aspects that the planets are making to your placement. This is not only in the short term, but this is also opening up a time for a lot of long-term support as Jupiter and Saturn both move into fellow air sign, starting to make this wonderful, most harmonious aspect in all of astrology called a trine with your placements in a long-term way. So there are two housekeeping notes that I want to point out quickly before we get to my nice organized list of December must-knows. The first is that this is for you if Libra is your moon or rising, not just your sun, okay? So this is definitely for you for sun in Libra, but if you have another placement in Libra that you watch reports for, then this is also for you. The second thing is if you're a late degree Libra placement, okay? So that means like October 11th through the rest of the sign, or 20 to 29 degrees if you know what your degree placement is, then I suggest you also watch my Scorpio reports because there will be additional pieces in those reports for you. So both the Libra and the Scorpio reports for you late degree placements. Okay, so now let's look at my handy dandy list here. We'll talk about these must-knows. The most important thing to know about this month, and one of the most exciting things to know, is that we are moving full steam ahead. Finally, we have been waiting for this time. All of this year has been backwards and inwards because of the retrogrades and because of these very heavy Capricorn conjunctions that have been made with the outer planets. But all of that is changing now. So, and you will feel that. You will definitely feel that. So when I say full steam ahead, I mean Mars, the ruler of oomph and get up and go, which had gone direct in November, is now really starting to gather steam. We don't have to deal with Mercury retrograde anymore. And Mars is still moving through Aries, which is a very peppy energy, okay? So enthusiasm, momentum, moving forward in any area of life. This is one of the best months, actually one of the best months for all of 2020. And even notable as we move forward for getting stuff that's done and that's important, like moves, contracts, buying something of importance, selling something major, weddings, anything that's like a big step or a big decision. This month has so much wonderful energy, and part of that is not just because the personal planets are now getting situated. It's because all of the planets except for Uranus this month are moving direct, and in January Uranus will be moving direct. So we're moving into this time like December, the first 2 weeks of January, where there's so much forward momentum. So you can see my equation here: direct movement of the stars equals forward movement for us. And that's just the truth of it. So the more we have direct moving placements, the more this momentum is going to speed up. And a lot of things that seem like they were stuck for like ever are likely going to be unhinged and break loose in major ways. The eclipses are definitely going to bring radical changes, and that's going to be part of this as well. We'll talk a little bit more about the December eclipse as we move down the line here. But I just want to talk about a couple of other placements in the Libra chart that are accentuated this month. One is the relationship sector. Okay, this has been under heavy scrutiny because of Mars movement retrograde in this house, but now with it moving forward, hopefully things that might have been stalled out in your relationships, or if you were unsure about what to do in a certain relationship, hopefully that clarity is coming through now and that you're able to start moving forward. So relationship sector is very heavily accentuated at this time. Also your money section, because Venus is there. Wherever Venus goes in the chart, my grandma Marge goes, because she is the energetic representative of Venus in my mind. If you don't know my grandma Marge, she's one of my little Italian grandmothers who would, grab my face and kiss me on the mouth and slip me money and give me a meatball and tell me how wonderful I am. And that's Venus, self-esteem and love and beauty and money and just everything sweet and harmonious. And so Venus is going to be moving through your second house of money. And it rules that house. So you might see a little financial boost at this time. So hopefully that does work out for you. Okay, so The next thing that I want to talk about is the abundance of Sagittarius energy, because Sag energy, it makes a wonderful angle for Libra, and this is part of why I started out the report by saying this month is full of wonderful opportunities for Libra, because whenever planets are making a nice mathematical angle, everything in astrology is based in science. There's a science to astrology, which are the mathematical connections and the predictable movements that the planets make and the tendencies of things they tend to bring when they connect in these certain ways. Those are all scientific and predictable. And then there's the art to astrology, which is in the intuitive, piece and the perspective of the reader. Okay, but any which way we look at it, Sag placements are really great for Libra because of that beautiful 60-degree angle. Now remember, the 60-degree angle means that opportunities come, and sometimes they'll grace you with some nice things without you really having to do anything. But a lot of times you have to do something with the opportunity where it's just kind of hanging out there, and if you don't do anything with it, it's like ingredients on a counter to make a pie. You don't get your pie if you don't use the ingredients that are given to you. So if you want your pie, you might have to do something this month, but you couldn't have a better month for doing something. So it's all perfect. If the eclipses started to bring in news in October and November and you did not know what the heck to do with that news, or because you've heard my reports, you were kind of waiting to do something with that news, this is a prime time for you to activate the opportunities or the things that came to you at this time. Okay, so now let's talk about this eclipse number 2. Well, actually, do we want to do that? Actually, let's talk about this. I've got the hot date summary, and then we'll get up in order chronologically to the eclipse, and we'll talk more about that. So if you want, I'm going over some highlights of hot dates to note this month, but if you want a very comprehensive list of all the aspects, what the aspects are, whether they're sweet or salty, what you can expect from them, and a general write-up of the month delivered into your inbox 1 month early, then you'll definitely want to go to anniehelpsyou.com and sign up for my free email newsletter, because that's exactly what you get with my newsletter. Okay, and you'll see just an amazing amount of detail. I put a lot of time into that email monthly. But some things that we can discuss here, some highlights are, starting November 30th through December 5th, we have a nice uninterrupted groove of sweet aspects. December is mixed. It's got, close to equivalent the amount of sweet aspects versus salty ones. But from November 30th through December 5th, you've got the momentum, you've got the clarity, you've got the, the sweet aspects. So it's just kind of a nice string of time if you have to do something important or make some decisions. Okay, so the next thing to note chronologically, a must know, is December 14th, we have the second of the eclipses, the first having been on November 30th, which was an eclipse in Gemini. If you haven't listened to my November report, you'll definitely want to listen to that, because I'll tell you where that eclipse will hit for you and what you can expect from that eclipse. And that's going to be very favorable for Libra placements, because it's going to make the most favorable aspect in all of astrology, the trine, with your placements. Okay, so you'll want to look at the November report for that. And this December 14th, the eclipse at 23 degrees of Sagittarius, we've got another nice aspect for you. Okay, so this is still feeding into this Sagittarius frenzy that we talked about. And, that's all very positive angle for you. Now, if you are in, again, like we'll say 18 degrees through about 28 degrees, so basically 18 degrees to the rest of the sign, or a late degree placement, or like around October 9th through the rest of the sign, you'll be getting extra goodies from this eclipse. And the closer you are to 23 degrees, okay, so that's about, let's see, so if 20 is there, so 23, so around October 14th, the date's around October 14th, or if you know your degrees, the degrees around 23 degrees, the closer you are to that, the more intense and the more personal this will likely be for you, because it will come into the closest proximity with your Libra placements. And again, that's a positive angle. So to understand more about how these eclipses will affect you, they bring in life-changing news, trajectory changes, sudden endings, sudden beginnings, and movement along the eclipse cycle. So starting in March or April, we started to see the energy of these eclipses take a hold of what the theme is going to be until the beginning of 2022. Okay, so the kinds of things that started to come up and be in movement around that time, you'll see will get hot again now. And the closer to the eclipse, December 14th, the more intense it is, but you can see eclipse news come in even 4 to 6 or more weeks before the actual eclipse and also after. Okay, so you might have already started to see these things come in. Now, to get more understanding as to what exactly can happen, look for my video, Eclipses in Sagittarius. Now you can find this if you search for Annie Botticelli on my homepage of YouTube, or if you just organically search for Annie Botticelli Eclipses in Sagittarius, you will get this video and it will tell you about all of the things that I've seen. As you know, I've done thousands of readings. I've done horoscopes for a very long time of what I've seen manifest with Sagittarius eclipse. So you can see that video. Now specifically for Libra placements, all Libra placements also watch my video for eclipses in Gemini. Those are going to be double time for you, because not only is there an eclipse in Gemini in November that's still going to be in effect in December, but also the house that's accentuated is the 3rd house of Gemini, okay? So if you have to buy a new car, if you have to buy a new device, this month is fantastic for that. You'll have end of year savings and sales. So it's perfect. So the green light is on for moving forward with anything like that. And travel plans, or just general mobility, decisions about your mobility as far as like getting a new bike or a new boat or a new whatever. Now, for those of you who are in that later degree placement, we'll put you again like the October 9th, the same that we talked about to experience this more intensely, like October 9th through the rest of the sign, or 18 degrees through the rest of the sign. You also watch my eclipses in Taurus video, because that sector, and some of you might actually have the eclipse in the 2nd house of money. Okay, so the money sector is even more heavily noted for those of you towards the end of the sign. Okay, so the next 2 dates I want to talk about are December 18th and then December 25th and 26th, because that's when Mercury and then Mars come and make notable aspects to the degree that the eclipse was at. So you'll notice more eclipse news coming in at that time, because Mercury will cross over the solar eclipse point and then Mars will trine the solar eclipse point. And again, those are all generally very favorable energies, especially for Libra. Okay, so now the next dates to note are December 21st, and really the whole month is full of this, is Jupiter and Saturn are making a rare conjunction. This happens around every 19 years, and I will talk more about what Jupiter and Saturn being in the same sign of Aquarius looks like a little bit later in this report. And also, if you want to know how Jupiter is going to affect you, when it's going to exactly aspect your placement. And you will want to look this up, because this is another super favorable angle for you. So from the end of 2020 through the end of 2021, Jupiter is going to be in the sign of Aquarius, which is again is a fellow air sign. So if you search for my video, Jupiter in Aquarius, Libra must knows, I'll give you all the dates where specifically for you will be most notable of Jupiter's sweet aspects, okay? But I will talk more about Jupiter and Saturn moving through Aquarius and what that can bring. But chronologically in our time frame here, it's next. So I'm mentioning it, and I'm going to go over a couple more dates, and then we'll get to that. So but in general, I expect this to be very favorable for for Libra placements, because it's in Aquarius, and that's a favorable angle for you. So December 24th and December 27th, we've got Mercury and then the Sun making the most favorable aspect in all of astrology, the trine, to the planet Uranus. Now, Uranus is the planet of surprises, and when it's in a nice angle, it tends to bring nice surprises. Now, if you see on my little picture here, I have a little guy with his mouth like, oh, because at the same time as I have a happy smiling face, because we've got this Sun and square Chiron aspect in the midst of these nice aspects. And there are several of them. Remember, Mars makes that nice, movement over the ecliptic point, and then this Mercury and Sun aspect. But the Sun squaring Chiron can throw a little in there, like a little uncertainty, a little self-esteem knock or something. But it's so overwhelmingly positive that hopefully it will smooth that out. So that's why I have the two faces there. But in general, very good news, possibly good news about long-term things. And specifically for Libra placements, this could be information about relationships or financial resources, or things having to do with houses or housing. can especially come up, and in general just long-term things gelling, because these are earth sign trines and the earth sign rules the material plane. Okay, so the last thing that I want to talk about before we get to the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction has to do with this December 29th full moon in Cancer. Okay, so full moons always bring fullness, completion, fruition, and a lot of times they bring drama. But they're very emotional. Okay, full moons are emotional, and especially when they're in a water sign. So water being someplace where it shouldn't be, you know, extra emotion are more likely at this time. But the emotions can be super positive, and it can be fruition, fulfillment of something you've been trying to work on, like in your work sector, or with something with travel or immigration, or anything having to do with home, housing, family, or your inner world, like an emotional breakthrough of some kind. So just note the dates around there, because they will be intense, and hopefully they'll bring positive things for you. But that is making a square aspect for Libra. So probably there will include a point of tension at that time. And so if you're just aware of it, you'll know you just got to save a little space around that time, just in case you have to show up for some things that may occur. But I want to focus now on this topic of, if Jupiter, the great expander, is moving through Aquarius and it's moving through a certain section of your chart, then what happens when Saturn, the cruncher, the restrictor, the limiter, is also moving through? So the first must know with that is that, yes, Saturn can run a little interference as far as what Jupiter is trying to do. But in this particular sign of Aquarius, I'm not seeing that as much of a troublemaker as it was in Capricorn, because Jupiter is super happy in Aquarius. And when Jupiter is moving through a sign that it's happy in, it can get really carried away. Okay, Jupiter rules excess. And I know a lot about this. I have an astrologer friend who calls me a one-woman Jupiter transit because I have so many placements of Sagittarius in my chart that, like, the epitome of all of the energy of Jupiter in myself, my expression, and my life is like very Jupiterian, okay? It can be extremely excessive to a fault, to where it burns itself out, to where it turns into something not great, okay? And so I see Saturn kind of hanging out there. It's like a little babysitter. It's like saying, okay, I see you're happy and you're rambunctious with your new toy of being in a sign that it likes. Here, let's just kind of make that more sustainable, make that more effective, make that more responsible, and have that be more of like a constructive accomplishment. You can also kind of think of this energy like a prescribed burn, when they're trying to clear out some underbrush to protect from wildfire issues in the future. A prescribed burn allows a burn to only get so far so that it can be productive, and then it just cuts it off. So I see this as kind of like a little guardian protector in this case. And so that's exciting. Now, something else to know about this is that Jupiter and Saturn are only in close proximity in the sign of Aquarius for, like, you know, December and January. Then after that, Jupiter just rolls out and leaves Saturn, the old guy, in the dust. You know, it's like, he's like, okay, father time, you know, I'm going to be on with this. And it just kind of races through Aquarius. And then when it does retrograde, it still stays at the later degrees of Aquarius. So it's not going to come back in the very close proximity that we're seeing here in the December-January timeframe. So the most hindrance and the most challenged points of them coming together we're likely to see in the December-January timeframe, but hopefully that will soften over time. And then just kind of see them as like working in cooperation as they're moving through the different areas of your chart, which again, this is going to kind of be staggered. So I'm not that concerned about a lot of negative effects of it. I'm more interested in how there are likely to be positive and supportive effects for the reasons that I mentioned. Okay, so oh yeah, there were two other things I wanted to mention about this. The conjunction that Jupiter and Saturn makes is at 0 degrees. It's right at the beginning of Aquarius. And at that time, we have the planet Pallas Athena right there. And Juno is right there in a 60-degree angle, which is a super positive angle. Okay, so this is speaking to the feminine principle coming into play here in a more notable way. And this is kind of a way of the future. The future is going to have more of this feminine masculine balance. And notice that I'm not saying male or female. It transcends the gender distinction. It's the energy of feminine and masculine within ourselves. It's the energy of feminine and masculine within the society, within the systems. You know, it's just adding more of that balance. So with these two ladies here, you know, kind of supporting this connection, I think it's going to speak to a really nice balance that can also hopefully offset some of the challenge points. And we are in for another wild ride in 2021, I'll be honest with you, you know, but I think the types of changes that will come from the outer planets coming together are more progressive and more have to do with the fact that change is coming and there will be resistance to the change, and that some of the changes that are suggested are not necessarily the best ones, and kind of finding the balance. You know, that's going to be the story of 2021. So if you'd like to have more information about how astrology can help you and how your awareness of the transits can be supportive to everything that you're working on, I have lots of free resources. The free resources are also linked with hyperlinks in the notes below the video. If you click on the more button and the arrow, it's down there. But the first thing to know is you definitely want to go to anniehelpsyou.com, peruse my blog, especially my astrology blog if you're interested in astrology, and sign up for my free email newsletter. That is a definite must do, because that will give you, I don't send out very many emails and they're all very content rich with things that I've created to help you. I don't send out random emails. I send out about 3, no more than 4 emails a month. And they all have, again, links to things that will help you that I've created or that some other people are posting on my blog. So the next thing to note is that you get Shine, my 28-day virtual coaching program, for free when you sign up for my email newsletter. Okay, the second resource is go to lumelife.com, L-U-M-E life.com. That's my school, Luminous Life Multiversity. And this school has some free classes, including a course called Unleash Your Money Magnet, and a couple of wellness classes, including one called Claiming Victory Over Viruses. And then there are also paid courses. Most of my offerings are free, but I do have some paid courses that keep everything going. And one of them is a course called Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery Course. If you resonate with how I teach and you want to learn, I can help you to do that. My course is so crazy comprehensive. If you think I go into details in the videos and my other resources, you'll be blown away by the amount of magic that you have at your fingertips, whether it's for your personal pursuits and you don't want to do astrology professionally, or for your professional pursuits. The next thing is at cozybysweetstarlight.com. You will see my written horoscopes, which are much more simple and easier to follow. They're less technical. Also a month, you know, I post my videos for the horoscopes 4 to 6 weeks early, and I post my written horoscopes at least a month early. So you'll see those at cozybysweetstarlight.com, plus an ever-growing list of astrology-kissed blogs, ways that you can utilize your knowledge of the stars and syncing up with the natural rhythms. And speaking of syncing up with the natural rhythms of the universe, definitely get my book, Planetology, How to Align with the Natural Rhythms of the Universe. You can get it on Kindle, you can get it on Audible, you can get it in print, and I suggest Audible one might not be out till like the end of, let's see, maybe the beginning to end of November. But you can get the print edition ordered now, and I suggest you get Audible and print because it's a long book and you'll want Audible for that. And it's a reference book, a beautiful hardcover reference book, so you'll want that too. Okay, so you can see it on Amazon, you can see it at any major bookseller. Planetology, How to Align with the Natural Rhythms of the Universe. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month.